Have you ever gone back to your ex for the plot or let that one toxic friend back in your life just cuz? And a part of your conscious brain is like, don't do it.
Oh, don't do it. Yeah. Oh.
And you end up doing it anyways. That is what I like to call a silly little side quest of self-sabotage. But I feel like sometimes we do things in our life for the bit, but there's actually a deeper reason why we go back to these old patterns in our life. And I think we can all agree there's a certain level of frustration when you end up going back to these situations because you consciously recognize that this situation isn't meant for you or is causing you emotional harm, but there's this addictive aspect of it where you just keep going back. And so in today's video, I'm going to be talking about when we go back to a past version of ourselves, it's also solidifying our future version of ourselves. There's this period of time where we question who we truly are, and those moments are actually so important for our growth and development. In some cases, there's some times where we can get stuck in that past version of ourselves and we're in this holding pattern. But what if I told you that stepping back into a past version of yourself can actually be beneficial in confirming that you are no longer who you used to be? And that sometimes we actually go back to these situations to confirm to ourselves who we are now. What's going on, everyone? My name's Natalie, and on this channel I help you get your shit together by sharing ways in which I am getting my shit together. And I have had a lot of experience with going back to situations I had no part in being in. I've gone back to exes, friends, situations, and the main reason I did this was comfort. Now, what if I told you that when you go back to these past situations, you are actually going back into a past version of yourself? And so for simplicity's sake, I'm going to be using the example of going back to an ex in this video because a lot of us have struggled with wanting to go back to an ex or reminiscing on the past, and it's something a lot of us can relate to, but it can be applied to many different situations in life. So you go back to your ex, and the main reason people go back to their exes or go back to situations that they no longer want in their life is because of nostalgia and comfort. When you look back at the situation, you often look back at the good times. You often look back at the times where you were happy with this person or happy in this situation. There might have also been a lack of closure in this situation, which makes it easier to go back to. For example, a lot of times people will be in relationships where one person wants to leave, but that person keeps coming back to the same person over and over and over again. And the reason they're doing that is because this person is settling for you. If you're the person on the receiving end, I've been on both sides of the spectrum where I was the one that was being settled for and I was the one settling. But one thing you must acknowledge when going back to situations like this is if no accountability was taken, if no resolution was found, you're sending a message to your subconscious that you are not worthy of better. And it has nothing to do with the other person why you're participating in a situation that you swore you'd never go back to. And let me tell you, bestie, I'm not above this, okay? I understand what it's like to doubt yourself and your ability to move forward and find something better for yourself. But something I've also noticed is when I've gone back to these situations, I've found new parts of myself every single time. And a big reason people go back to their exes is because they don't like the way the fight ended, you know, they don't like the way they carried themselves at the end. And so they want to try to make amends, they want to try to seek closure. Closure is an illusion. When you go back to a situation you know you shouldn't be a part of and try to seek closure, it's because you don't want to acknowledge the part of yourself that's still attached. Because the reason you're attached to the situation is because it gratifies a certain belief you have. Whatever self-concept this belief is, it comes from a belief you have about yourself. The situation gratifies a certain part of your ego in some way, and so until you face that, you'll never have the guts to move on from it, which is why so many people get stuck in holding patterns. Now, what I've noticed within myself is when I have these silly little side quests of self-sabotage, sometimes they're actually beneficial for me because it solidifies a certain part of myself that has grown from the situation. It's similar to when a snake sheds its skin and then it tries to go back into the old snake skin. It feels gross, it feels dusty. And so this delusion of nostalgia is broken immediately and you're like, hello? Oh my god, I cannot believe I'm going back to this situation. This is going against my values, this is going against who I am, and you can feel yourself getting more and more insecure from it. And some advice on moving on from a situation: keep what they did to you at the forefront of your mind. Get mad that you ever tolerated what this person did to you. And this only works for situations where someone obviously did something up to you. But get angry, get mad, because when you have nostalgia, you can override it with that anger. Get pissed that they did that shit to you. Like, no, that wasn't okay. That was not okay how I was treated. So that when you face those feelings of nostalgia and looking back and going, oh, things weren't that bad, it's like, no, they were that bad. You can't get to a point of forgiveness if you're still attached to the situation. And to detach from the situation, sometimes you have to use means of negative feelings, because if you look at the situation from a positive standpoint, you're not honoring how you feel in the moment. You're not honoring why that situation was so bad to begin with. And I've gotten myself in really weird situations just because of nostalgia and just because I wanted that person in my life and blah, 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 blah. I've gotten myself in moments of silly little side quests of self-sabotage just because I didn't acknowledge what was attaching me to the situation. And you cannot heal a burn if you keep touching the damn stove. You must face the reason you keep betraying your own trust. And listen, girl, I get it. It's difficult. It's like you're being ripped out of Deluluville and thrown into reality land. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't get a hopper pass. Like, I don't know, Deluluville is fun, you know? You have the adrenaline, you have that silly little side quest of self-sabotage. You're vibing. But now I have whiplash because that ride fucked up my neck, and now I have to go pay a fee of my sanity to get back into reality land. The more you ignore yourself, the greater the fee is going to be. So identify the reason you're sacrificing yourself so that you can step into who you're meant to be, so that you can step into that version of yourself who actually commits to her goals, so that you can step into that version of herself who actually means what she says when she says she's gonna leave. Replace whatever pronouns you need in that sentence, but seriously, like, hold yourself accountable, because when you keep going back on your word, it says something about one of your values. Going back on your word means that you're a liar. When you go back on your word, you are lying. You're lying to yourself, you're lying to others, and you're lying to the universe. How the hell do you expect yourself to gain trust with yourself when you keep lying? When you say you're gonna do something and you don't do it, that's manipulation. You are manipulating yourself. And you wonder why you don't trust yourself, because you say things and you don't mean them. Acknowledge the reason you keep going back to this reality, or else you'll continue to do the same thing over and over and over again. And what is that called? Insanity. When you're in between realities, and when I mean in between realities, it's that period of time where you're almost done with a situation, but you're not quite there. You'll go back to that situation for a little bit just to see if that's what feels right. And you'll confirm to yourself that that's not it. That shit is not it. And you'll slam that door shut forever. Hopefully, if you have enough courage to realize that when one door closes, another one opens, and that opportunities are always here. There's literally so many different opportunities for you. You keep going back to this thing because it's gratifying a part of you. Face it. Face it, because there's so many different opportunities. There's so many fish in the sea. So why the hell are you going back to Nemo? Okay, I said my point. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, and do all the things that push me out into the algorithm. I love you guys so much. Stop doubting yourself. Stop going back into past realities. And when you do, recognize that it's part of your path too. But don't keep yourself in a holding pattern for too long, okay? I love you so much. And have a good day, you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.